Hello, welcome to Life with Francie podcast, a place where you will find all kinds of conversations like mental health, self love, self care, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a community where we support one another in business and personal life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get the show started. On today's episode, I have the pleasure to talk to Isabelle Fortin, who is a standout mindset facilitator, entrepreneur, and public speaker. Her journey is marked by determination and creativity. Through Izzy Fortin Coaching, she uses her experiences and insight to help others grow professionally and personally. Let's welcome her to the show. Tell us, what is life with Isabelle?
Life is wonderful. Life is interesting and it's never boring and it's you gotta, roll with the punches and so yeah, life's good. Hasn't always been good, but it's been good for a long time and it is by design and I make it that way and I keep it that way and I like my life. I think it's fun.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about you and how you decided to be on this mission, to help others.
Well, because I've been down in the gutter, right? And I dug my way out and I figured, hey, if I can use my voice and use my talents to help others to maybe avoid being in despair, then that's kind of my purpose to do that, right? So I was born and raised in the Quebec part of in Quebec, so the French part of Canada, and I lost my mom when I was 5. She was 36 when she passed, and that kind of well, to say the least, put the big bummer in my childhood.
Yeah.
And I dragged on, like, this pain dragged on for more decades than it should have, because I felt like a victim. I felt like I didn't have what it took to get out of that stuck in a rut that I was in, and I felt like some that life was something that was happening to me and not for me. And it took a while. It took for me to outlive her. She was 36 when she passed, and it took me for me to outlive her to realize that, well, I could not live her life. It She was gone, and it wasn't a duty that I kind of had given myself to live her life. I couldn't do that anymore. And B, I couldn't carry on with this pain. There had to be a better way to live, right? There had to be a happier way. This life was just, before that moment, I kind of had a big haha moment, and before that moment, it was just like, I was a victim. Everything was difficult, and
Mhm.
I didn't realize that I was I was creating that reality, right? So, um, since that day, life is glorious. There are days that there are less fun than others, but you pick up and you go, hey, tomorrow is going to be better, and that's it.
Yeah, wow. I have my mom, but my mom lost her mom, and there's not an age that you can
No.
go like it's easier or whatever, because that's like yeah, so I get it. My heart breaks
Oh,
for you,
that's very
because
sweet. There's no need for it anymore, but
I
it's
know,
very
yeah,
sweet of
I
you. I
get
appreciate the
it.
sentiment. Yeah.
My
No,
mom,
it's just that when you're a kid and your
yes.
mom passes, um, there's a certain part of your natural development that you haven't gone through. It's like from 0 to 7 years old, and there's like a phase of the detachment that a child naturally goes through with their parents that that was kind of imposed on me, that I didn't go through it naturally. So that was, I needed the help of a psychologist to get that
Mhm.
done, and it's okay. There's no shame in that. And I needed help, and I needed to do the work. I needed to go back and do that work, But once it was done, there's nothing stopping me, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, you seem like you're like relentless. Like when you want something, let's do
mm,
it.
yeah, I tend to be fearless. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, how did the journey started with the Izzy, what was it?
IzzyFortin.com.
Yes.
Well, actually, it was the pandemic.
Mm,
I went back. I was a massage. I was in the military. Then I was a massage therapist, and it was inside the massage therapy that I became a mindset coach. But I did it inside the massage meetings. It
yep,
wasn't
I can see
it
that.
wasn't exclusive, let's put it this way. It wasn't I had my massage clients and I had my coaching client. It was all of the same. And when the pandemic hit, I'm really, really not tech savvy, Francie, like not at all. I am getting better and I want to concentrate on the positive and not, bash on myself or anything like
Mhm.
that. But the technology is not something that comes naturally for me. So before the pandemic hit, I didn't even know Zoom existed.
Wow.
Like I had FaceTime because I have an iPad, but other than that, I didn't know like all of this was possible. So I kind of, started going on social media but really honestly at the beginning only as a consumer. And it wasn't until January of 2022 that I said, well, okay, it's time to take this show on the road because I had to stop being a massage therapist. It was just too hard on my body after 23 years.
Mm.
I stopped counting at 10,000 massages. So it was just for me, it was just the natural evolution of what was was to come next because I'm not ready to retire. I'm only 50. So I went on LinkedIn and here I am.
Heck yeah, I love it because usually, I meet grown-ups that are like so grown up and like, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna retire and that's gonna be the end of it. And you're like, oh no, I'm ready for a new business.
I'm never gonna retire. I'm
I
never gonna
love
nah.
it.
There's no point.
Hmm.
If you
And
love what you do,
yep.
you know, there's why stop? You can slow down, you can take more vacation, or you can, do that job. Like I can literally do my job from anywhere in the world. So but no, I don't think I'm gonna retire.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what I'm looking to for freedom of time. I
Yeah.
still want the income, but I would love because I work for a corporation. I'm the mail lady, and it's 10, 12-hour days. And it's
Oof.
just like, nope, no, thank you. I need, for my 40s, I hope to be at home and not working as hard as I'm working right now. But yeah, do you have like a program on a one-on-one or do you do group
I
coach?
do. I'm launching a 21 day challenge. So far I've been calling it my 21 day challenge, but I really don't like the word challenge, so I'm gonna come up with a better word. But for now, it's in I'm in the creation of it. I'm towards the end. I'm about to start filming. It's gonna be like half an hour every day where I teach you something and then I give you tools and then you have something to do until the next day, and until it's done you don't have access to the next day because accountability is what
Mm,
makes a difference in people's lives.
yep.
If you just buy the program and you don't do anything, like in massage therapy, I used to give my clients exercises or different stretching for them to do. If they didn't do it, I knew they didn't. So for my program, that's going to be very crucial, is accountability. If you're not willing to work, then buy somebody else's program. That's okay. There are literally hundreds of thousands of programs out there. And I do one-on-one coaching, and I do public speaking and workshops and stuff like that. So if any of your listeners want me to go to their community or their business, I can do that. And I talk about mindset because mindset is the foundation of every single thing else in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So if your mindset is right, then you're gonna get better. It's going to improve. It cannot not work. It's impossible. So yeah, so that's what I do.
I love that. And then I talked a little bit before the interview, a little bit more about your life as to society says you're not happy or you're not enough or worthy if you don't have a family of your own. And that's not your story. So I want to know more.
I bought into that crap. I really did. I come from a Catholic family. My dad is on wife number 3.
Mm,
Obviously, mom, it was not his doing. I mean, she passed. He was only 39 when he became a widower. Um, so it was very much in my family, in my upbringing, it was very much the Frank Sinatra. If you're nobody until somebody loves you. And I really bought into that crap. And that was part of the reasons I was making myself miserable, is because inside of me, I was stuck between I'm supposed to have it and I don't. And I really don't want that for myself. So for me, freedom is the number one priority of my entire life. I want freedom. I want to be free all the time. I want to be free to be who I am with everybody and in every circumstances, because I think that that's possible. And I don't want to have to check with my spouse if it's okay that I go on vacation with my sister. I don't want to ask permission. And I know that there are some couples that it's not about asking permission. It's about just discussing like how the logistics of it is going to happen. But I find that even now in 2023, a lot of women are still in a position where they have to ask permission to their spouses, and that literally makes my hair curl. I'm allergic to that. I answer to no one except God and me. And if I'm okay with what I've done and my behavior and how I treat people at the end of the day, then what other people think of it is none of my business, because it's not about me anyway, right?
mm-hmm.
So, but to go back to your original question, Francie, I suffered. I suffered until I understood that not only was it okay to not have it, but it was okay to not want it,
Mm.
because I don't need anybody to complete me. I'm whole. And I mean, I have nothing, like I'm heterosexual. I have nothing
Mm-hmm.
against men. I love men, actually. I really love them. And I have a lot of friends and I have a full life, but I find it the meaning to the word love, that we've associated love only through a romantic eye. And I find that sad, because you can love your siblings and your parents and your children and your pets and your friends and your coworkers and your life and nature and the animals, and you can love, and that verb is not diminished because you're not talking about a special someone, or you're not talking about somebody that you've ultimately promised your life to at the altar. And I find that when we speak about love now, it seems to be that love is only the romantic aspect of it. And if you don't have romantic love, then there's something wrong with you. Well, there isn't anything wrong with me, and I am worthy of love. And there are a lot of people that love me. But I don't want to give my life to one partner. I don't want to give my life to anybody but mine.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I understand. I have had my own setup that is different from society and what society said you should have. And it's because it worked for me. And now that it's changing again, the dynamic is changing. I see that I'm trying to change my perspective of asking permission because I have been on my own since I was 15 years old. So it's hard that all of a sudden I have to be like, oh, well, is it okay if I can go to the store real quick? It doesn't affect the whole family if I'm gone for a couple hours. So, like, I
and
get it.
and I understand when there are kids involved and all that, that you have to deal with your partner as far as logistics is concerned. That's normal,
Hmm.
right? Because if you say, okay, I'm going to go away for a week because I need a vacation and I need to take care of my mental health, that's wonderful. But if you have children, then your partner is going to be impacted. So there needs to be a discussion. That's fine. But I don't want to discuss
Yeah,
these things with anybody. I just want to pick up and go.
I love it.
So I
Keep
just pick
living
up
your
and
best life. That's how I wanted your perspective because it's
that's
not an
right.
everyday conversation.
It's a never conversation. And it's really funny because I've had a spat not too long ago with my dad and his wife. For I'm not going to go into details.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's uninteresting anyways to everybody else but us, but and one of my point to them was I don't have to ask permission to her to invite him somewhere.
Oh,
You guys married
yeah.
each other. You guys went to the altar and you married one another. And I was there. I was 15 when they got married. I was there and I adore her. I really,
Mhm.
truly adore her. But I don't have to ask her permission to invite him somewhere if I only want to go with him. Now, if he wants to discuss it with her, that's
That's
wonderful
a different story.
because that's their deal.
Mhm.
But I don't have to. And it created a little bit of friction that we had to discuss this. And I've had to explain exactly what I'm talking about with you today is I didn't promise you anything. Now I invited him, and because he's married doesn't mean that I can't invite my father to do something, just him and I. It is his job to validate with you or to discuss it with you. It's not my
Mhm.
job. I'm not,
Yeah.
this is not on me. And ultimately it all ended perfectly, like everybody understood. And I mean, when there's love there,
Yeah.
of course there's going to be understanding, because when you take time to talk about your situation and your point of view, like in calmly and just with having an adult discussion, well then you can't things will be resolved.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. No, I love it. It happens with friends too.
yes,
When they're in different season, it's like, hey, I'm doing me. You gotta do you.
that's
And
right.
whatever. This is what's happening. This is what's the plan. If you make it, awesome. If you don't, I'll send you pictures.
That's right. I love that.
I love it.
I love
Mm,
that. And it's all about being able to talk about your truth.
yeah.
Right? I love the way you just said that, Francie. You said, maybe we're in different seasons. Like maybe I want to go on vacation in an all inclusive. Maybe you can't afford it right now, and that's okay. But I'm gonna go because I'm doing me.
Hmm.
And if you can't, hey, wonderful. I understand. No problem. No harm, no foul. Come
Yeah.
pick me up at the airport, please.
I get it in some type of way because most of my family is in Puerto Rico. And I have been doing whatever I wanted since I was 15 years old. So some of my cousins will be like, "Oh my God, like I wish I could be like you." But our family codependency is huge. It's like the foundation of everything in my life. So like they can't imagine just going and doing their own thing because they
Yeah,
have to take care of a parent, a sibling, somebody in the family. So and me, I'm like, well, can I just send some money and take care of whatever is happening because I'm over here and you guys are over there. I can't do much. But yeah. I mean, it is what it is because we only have one life.
Yes. And you know what? What you just said just now, Francie, is absolutely beautiful because not only are you able to set your own limits,
Mm,
but also you didn't buy into the family's limiting beliefs,
yeah.
because that is the root of every problem we have in our lives. I've been dealing with a client recently, and she wants to get on stage, and she get, I have stage fright, I have this, I have that. And I said, well, first of all, stop saying that in the present tense, because when you say I am, you think you're talking about right now, but what you're saying to your brain, you're giving an order to your brain. You're saying to your brain, this is what's normal, keep it there, please. And your brain wants normal, whatever normal is for you. And normal may be getting beating every day. And normal may be being poor and not knowing where the next paycheck is going to come from. And maybe normal for you is being in a crappy mood. And hey, I've been there for over 3 decades. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And that was my normal. That was my normal until I couldn't take it anymore. So when you say, I am broke, even if you say I'm broke as a joke and you laugh, your brain does not understand that you're making a joke. It is, you're saying to it, I'm broke, keep it that way. So what happens? Well, you don't get that promotion, you don't win the lottery, you don't, I'm the lottery analogy is a joke, but you don't create what's
Hmm.
going to be better for you because your brain wants normal. So if you want to improve, you have to make whatever the step up is normal,
Yeah.
so that when you're taking it, and it's not fake it till you make it. That's the biggest bullshit ever. It's, oh, anyways, it
It
gets me
is.
mad when people say
Yeah.
that, oh, fake it till you make it. That's a load of crap. Okay. So, but take what you want and make it normal for you. And it's not about doing meaningless affirmations, because if you don't believe in your heart that you're worth having that, if
Yeah.
you don't believe in your heart that that you deserve to have whatever that new normal is, you can look at yourself in the mirror until you're blue in the face and say that you have it, and you'll never have it, because it's not about the words. Yes, words do have power, but it's about the emotion behind the words.
Hmm.
And if you can't, and that's why fake it till you make it doesn't work.
Nope.
You have to believe it. But the thing with self-esteem and self-love and self-care and all that self fill in the blank here is there's a shift in paradigm right now, but it's still kind of a little bit looked at selfish when it's not. Because if I take care of me and I show up for you as the best version of me, then I show up for you in service.
Yep.
If
I
I don't
love it.
take if I don't take care of me, I don't show up for you at all.
Hmm.
Maybe my body is going to be there, but I'm not there. I'm not present. I'm not capable. And the best thing I heard about self-esteem in my entire life was taking other people's opinions and basing what you think of yourself based on what everybody else thinks. It's like taking your hand, making a fist, punching into a mirror, and trying to fit all the little pieces of mirror, and so that the image you see in that broken mirror is beautiful. It is
Mm.
impossible. It's
Yeah.
impossible. And it is called self-esteem.
Mm.
So it's not about what other people thinks of you. It's about what do you think of you. And that it is the best way to show up in service of others is to take care of you.
Yeah. I'm brand new on that journey. Like I said, I am 35 and I have 2 years of loving myself.
But you've
So,
started, and
so
that's the
I
right
totally
thing.
understand because I was doing the affirmations, the manifesting and everything, and I just could not get rid of that rut. Like I was failing, and I had notes everywhere on my walls and things like that, but it was not working. And it wasn't until I started loving myself. Like you can't go away from it. And then having a mental health evaluation because I knew I didn't once I started acting crazy in public, I was like, okay, hold up. This is like something bigger that I have to go to the root of the problem. And when I
Yeah.
did the mental health evaluation, I was able to give myself grace. That was new for me. Compassion and understanding because we can do it for a stranger, but we can't do it for ourselves.
Hot damn and hallelujah, sister. Oh, this is music to my ears. You're like a wet dream of a coach. You're like
That's
the wet dream
hilarious.
client. I
I
swear
love
you're the
it.
wet dream
I
client. It's
love it. But it's just the work, you have to do the
you
work.
have,
You can't look
yeah.
like I have a lot of people right now going through their darkest days. And some of them is anxiety, some of them is depression. And the one that is depression, like I'm just like, hey, like you have to breathe. You have to feel the feelings. You cannot just put a band-aid and keep going because that's not going to work. And like, I get it. I have been through it. And that's why I'm so open about my mental health journey for those that feel alone or misunderstood or that they don't belong. I'm trying to create a community where we feel like we belong. And the point of me like bringing guests with with different expertise is in hopes that the listeners get tools and resources, to help them get to whatever the level is.
Did you ever hear I don't know if I'm gonna tell this story correctly, but the story of this guy that falls in the hole? And there's a priest that walks by. He says, "Oh, Father, I've fallen in this hole and like I don't seem to be able to get out. Can you help me?" And the father writes a prayer and throws it in the hole. And then the second, guy walks by and is a doctor and oh, doctor, please, can you help me out? I've fallen into the hole and I don't seem to be able to get out. And the doctor writes the prescriptions and throws it in the hole. And the third person, it's his friend. It's Joe. He says, "Joe, geez, Louis, thank God you're here. Can you please help me out? I fall into this hole and I can't get out." And Joe falls into the hole. He jumps into the hole. And the guy looks at him. He says, "Are you a freaking idiot?" And Joe looks at him. He says, "No, because I've been in the hole before and I know how to get out."
Aww. Yeah.
And that's what talking about mental health is for. Because I was on the verge of killing myself. I
Mm.
literally was. I woke up one morning. That was the haha moment I was talking about earlier. I literally woke up. I was 37 in a couple of months and I was butt naked and I looked at myself in the mirror and instinctively I looked at myself in the eyes instead of looking at, do I have spinach in my teeth and oh no, there's a new wrinkle around my eyes. I looked at inside of me and I said, okay. And I said out loud, okay, so I can't live like this anymore because I had been suffering for 32 years at this point. So either I kill myself today, and that was a very viable answer, or I choose another way to live because I could not carry on like this. It was just too hard. And I
Yeah.
had been dragging my big ball of pain that was, tied around my ankle. I had been dragging this with me everywhere and it was collecting dirt and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I said, okay, I'm done. I'm out. And honestly, what saved me from committing suicide was I could not do that to my dad.
Mm.
My dad had lost his wife. He could not lose his daughter to suicide 32 years later. I could not do that to him. But you know what? Just the fact that I was still able to be empathetic towards another human being meant that there was still hope,
Yeah.
that there was still something that could be done. So I went to the psychologist's office, and and then I did NPL and NLP in English. No, NLP in English. And then I did EFT, and I went to hypnosis, and I still have coaches to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And any good coach has at least one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's important because we have to take care of us to show up better for you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. You had a good question. How the world would be better a place if human felt seen and heard, which is my mission in life to make people be seen and heard.
Yeah. Every time somebody talks about that, I always go back to vulnerability
Mm,
because it is getting better. I find it's getting better. But vulnerability is the last thing we want to show, and yet the first thing we want to see in others.
yeah, that is so true.
But it's not until you're vulnerable and that you show your true self and that you open up your heart and say, well, this is it, and I hope you don't break it. It is not until you do that that you're seen or heard by others.
Mm,
And it's very, very scary. It's very scary because you're protecting yourself, not because you're stupid. You're protecting yourself because you don't want to get hurt again. You're protecting yourself because you've been in the hole and you've been hurting for so long. See, if I go back to my story, it was a hell of a lot better and easier for me to be angry than it was to be sad. So I carried anger towards the entire world. I was angry at my dad for remarrying and being happy in his marriage, and I was angry
mm,
for my sister and my brother for living their lives because I wasn't living mine. But that was my choice. It was unconscious, but it was my choice.
yeah.
So, and it wasn't until I spoke out and I said, I'm hurting, I'm in pain. But the thing is that the people that need love the most and need compassion the most and need a shoulder to cry on the most are the less agile of asking for that love
Mm-hmm.
because we're hurting so goddamn much that we don't want to take a chance on anybody, let alone ourselves. But unfortunately, it's the bottom of the barrel, right? Because when you
Mm-hmm.
hit that bottom, well, at least you have something solid underneath your feet and you can push yourself up.
Yep.
I did an interview not too long ago, and the host said, what would you tell your 21-year-old self? And I said, oh, stop taking yourself so fucking seriously. And
Yeah.
he bursted out laughing, and I said, but you know what? I wouldn't have listened
Mm-hmm.
because I needed to go all the way down so that my feet would touch the ground and then I could push myself up. And it doesn't mean that there's nothing that will ever happen to me in the future that's not going to bring me back to the bottom of the barrel, but I know the way up. It's like, the analogy of the story that I said earlier, it's the Joe jumping in the hole and saying, yeah, but I've been here. I know how
Yeah.
to get out. And I think that most coaches are people who have hit rock bottom and hit hard and lived there and decorated the rock for a while.
Hell
I've
yeah. I'm
decorated that
sorry,
rock
but I
for 30
relate to that
years.
so much.
Exactly. Because we can be more empathetic, and it comes from a real place of understanding,
Mhm.
and not just, yeah, I've written a book somewhere that's I'm supposed to show empathy here.
Yeah. I get it. And I understand about vulnerability. I'm working on it. I joke around that I will have an OnlyFans where I show my private parts, which it will be a lot easier than sharing what is on my journals.
Of
I'm like, do
course.
not touch my journals. If
I
I see you
Oh,
anywhere near my book bag, you're gonna get hurt.
Francie, you're preaching to the choir, love. I hear you. I hear you. So, amen for you.
Is there anything else that you would like my listeners to know about you?
If they need help, reach out. It doesn't matter if it's to me or anybody else. I mean, you can hire me. Of course, I'll be
Yeah.
happy to work with anybody, but I am happy to work with anybody, but just reach out. And I know sometimes it's the money, and coaches are expensive because we are available all the time. My clients
Mhm.
can text me in the middle of the night and I'll answer. But because that's what coaching is, it's not it's not going to the psychologist, and I'm not putting anything down with psychology. I've gone
No,
to a
yeah.
psychologist for many, 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 many years, and thank God I did, honestly. It's just the nature of the service is different, is all I'm saying. But if you're going to talk to somebody because you want to get out, make a little bit more sacrifice on your finances and hire somebody instead of talking to your friends, because the bonus with hiring a coach is that we're unbiased, whether you want to come out of the closet or you want to go back to school and you have a really good job right now and you're that's going to bring financial strain, and it the outcome is not what we're there for. We're there to support the transition that you want to make, and we're not attached to whatever that outcome is. And your friends and your family most of the time are very, very biased.
Yeah.
And that's normal. It's love.
And I get it too because of the accountability. I agree with you. It's different because when I was with my mentor for 2 years, it was like we talked almost every day. And then now I'm with the therapist because I'm more of, I want the science between
Yeah.
about everything that I'm doing. So that's why I'm with the therapist now. And it's like, ah, it's so hard. Like she even listened to my podcast because she's different. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Because usually people have the stigma that you don't have like a nice relationship with them. And most of them are like that because they have a contract and everything else. So it's harder. But some of them, you feel like, I actually feel like, oh my gosh, I'm about to see my friend every other Wednesday, but it's my therapist.
Yeah. Oh, but I get you, because I have four coaches. Like, I have a business coach and a public speakers coach, and I have a coach, which is, I call it my tune up. And I go see her when I need it. And these days it's every 3 weeks. I've been doing that for about 6 months. And then eventually I'm going to go once every 3 months. And then I'll go back, and I have little periods of time where I go, okay, so the car is a little bit, I
Yeah,
need an alignment, something's off. And with me creating this online visibility, it woke up some things, and I went, oh, okay, so we're gonna hit
yeah,
that, and we're gonna check that and keep that in check. And when I don't need it anymore, I'll stop. But I'll stop until I pick it up again,
yep,
right? And it is not the same thing seeing a therapist and seeing a coach. It's not the same thing, but both of them. I mean, just find the person that can help you.
yeah,
Never mind how that person helps you, whether they're a psychologist, or it doesn't matter, because the coach is about the connection that you're going to have with this person. And just by the fact that you say, I'm going to see my friend, it means that even though the structure is there, because they got their I'm looking for the word in English. I'm sorry, but like their work codes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But even though the framework is there and it's kind of rigid, inside of that is a human to human relationship,
Hmm.
and that is so important. That and there's science behind that, Francie. It's the connection to another human
Yeah.
that makes us heal. So I'm glad you did that for yourself.
I had to. I did not want to live how I used to live, and that's the thing. You get tired. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're like done. And I was done with anger. I understand when it comes to anger. When I did the mental health evaluation, this is where the world is at. This is like a little bit more of the world, and then there's just
And that
Francie.
was Francie.
I was like, nobody needs to be Francie, angry Francie. Like it's not a, it shouldn't be that way. But yeah, where can my listeners find you?
IzzyFortin.com though, so that's IZZYFORTIN as in November.com. That's how they find me.
I love it. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode that this conversation was thank you to Podmatch, an amazing community for podcast hosts and podcast guests to do collaborations like this one. And I love their tools and resources. It's truly an amazing community.
They are so great, really. They're wonderful.
I love it. So you can find all the links and everything is going to be in the show notes. Thank you so much, Isabel, for coming in the show. I
You're
really enjoyed our
welcome.
conversation.
Same here. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. You can find this podcast in all major platforms as well as my YouTube channel. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow on any podcast app that you're listening to. You can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Those are very helpful, to help other listeners to find the show. I sure appreciate you. Hope you have a blessed day. Bye bye.